As leaders of the church, we're always trying to be more like Christ and to have our interactions align with that concept. So what if I told you that I have a proposal for a training that I believe can help us be more successful in that area? The training would be over emotional intelligence, and this proposal will go over the concept, the relevance to what we do, so strategies, potential outcomes, a budget, and a projected timeline. So intelligence in the past has been thought of as this cognitive concept, right? And it wasn't until the 1990s that it was defined as a form of social intelligence that involves the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings and emotions. And I found that in the author Chanes's 2000 article, Emotional Intelligence and Why It Matters. Later on, the author Goleman stated in his 2015 chapter, What Makes a Leader, in HBR's 10 Must Reads on Emotional Intelligence, that self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skill are all components of emotional intelligence. So self-awareness is how aware an individual is of their own emotions and the impact they can have on others. Self-regulation is how do they handle those emotions and those impulses. Motivation is what drives them to meet their goals. Empathy is how do they assess others' emotions and deal with those. And social skill is how their interactions influence others, right? So it's friendliness, but it's also with a purpose. And so just looking at these components, you can definitely draw some parallels to what we do as leaders of the church. So when it comes to self-awareness and self-regulation, there are people in the church that are looking to see how we in leadership handle these highly emotionally charged situations. And so having a better understanding of why we feel the way we feel, how to handle that, it can help us to be more of that voice of reason, that calm presence in those situations. And then motivation, this training would allow us to sit down collectively and independently to assess our motivations and where our intentions lie. And hopefully it will recharge that spark to serve those that we do. Empathy. The Lord calls us to love our neighbor as ourselves, but that's not always easy. So understanding their perspective and how they feel will help us to do that. And then ultimately, when it comes to social skill, we want our interactions to carry with them the weight of the gospel, but also the goals of the church. And so when I was looking at research over emotional intelligence, you can pretty much find research from any field out there, right? From psychology to education to management, business, just to name a few. But two emerging areas of research that I found was one, that in church leadership. So the author Lancaster noted in his 2000 article, Effective Church Leadership Through Emotional Intelligence, that church leadership becomes less effective because of inconsistent management of emotions, inability to connect with people, or leadership without inspiration. And the other area is that of communication. So the authors Sina and Sina wrote in their 2007 article, Emotional Intelligence and Effective Communication, that powerful communication skills enable us to be more effective at work and in those situations of everyday life where better relationships can make all the difference. Effective communication is the key to emotional intelligence. And so, what would this training look like? Well, it would be implemented over the 5-day work week. I was figuring that we could probably take from 9 to 11, those 2 hours we have after our morning devotion in the main hall to do the training. And each day of the week, we would focus on a different component of emotional intelligence. And the training would happen simultaneously because we do approach that from we're a team, we're the staff aspect. It would generate probably better conversations, but there will be opportunity for us to independently reflect and prompts to help us do so. As far as the budget goes, it really wouldn't cost much. I was able to find the books that we would use. The title is How Emotional Intelligence Can Transform Your Ministry for $3 a book on thebookdepot.com. And then FedEx.com helped me to kind of determine that it would be about $25 to print and spiral bind the material that we would need for this. And then as someone that studied communication a lot in my pursuit of my master's degree, I would feel comfortable doing this training. But if the church wanted to make a donation, they could. I would do it for free though. And then if this training is successful, then yes, we'll leave with a general understanding of emotional intelligence, but we should also see some increased self-awareness. And so that's that, having a deeper understanding, also feeling more knowledgeable, and it sounds like us having more control over those emotions. Self-regulation would be better management of those feelings. It could sound like more effective conflict management, or effective communication in higher emotionally charged situations. And we would feel more in control. Motivation would look like we're more recharged. We would have more enthusiastic conversations, and we would feel that renewed drive. As far as empathy goes, it would be a more increased awareness of the feelings of others around us. We would have more supportive conversations and also feel like we're better equipped to handle those kinds of conversations. And then social skill, it would, we would have increased interpersonal skills. The conversations would probably be more transparent and open, and we would feel more connected to our people. And then the two ways that we would measure this: one, we would have a survey that we administer on day one just to kind of get a general idea of where everyone's knowledge is. And then that same survey would be done on the last day of the survey, just to determine if there's been an increase of knowledge during the actual training session. But then 6 months later, I think it'd be a good idea to implement another training just to see how the impact of this training has another survey to see how the impact of this training has helped us to actually implement what we do in our everyday jobs. As far as accountability goes, it falls into three main sections. You have your trainer, pastor, and participant. The trainer would be responsible for, most of the planning and the creation and the survey administration. The pastor, really, the accountability is just getting him on board and getting him to get others on board with the training. And then the participants, they would be responsible for holding themselves accountable, removing distractions, and just taking away all that they can and retaining as much as they can from the survey. So as far as the projected timeline goes, it starts 4 weeks before and then ends 6 months after. Most of the weeks before up to the day of the training, it's all just planning. It all falls on the trainer. So it's organizing, collecting materials, ordering them. The day of through day 5, that's just administering the training and going over the concepts with people. And then the 6 months later, that looks like re-administering a survey. So in conclusion, I believe that this training could really help us as employees to serve our people better, and it'll only make us more effective leaders. So thank you for listening, and here are my references.